Hello, my name's Darrell Wahlberg, and yes, I'm still a Jehovah's Witness in good standing. This recording, and this, while it's a 2-page recording here, this is all you're going to see. You're not going to see any pictures or anything other than these 2 screenshots. This is not approved by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, jw.org. They didn't make it in their fancy studios there in Tuxedo Park, New York. It's not approved by the 8 faithful members of the governing body. They didn't make it either. Located there in Warwick, New York, up the street from Tuxedo Park. And it's not approved by any local body of elders. I approved this video, and I work for Jesus Christ. I don't work for any man. Hopefully some of you get that through your thick, stupid heads. Some of you apostates. Not all of you apostates, but some of you. Unless it's a direct order from the faithful and discreet slave, we are not required to adhere to it. Faithful and discreet slave are not our leaders. So their suggestions, while their suggestions are good in some instances, suggestions are just that, suggestions, recommendations. They're not direct orders. What I've done here today is I've placed the several scriptures, 5 to be exact, from the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, which is the most accurate Bible in print, and from the King James Version. Well, why have I done this today? Well, as many of you apostates, you DF'd, disfellowshipped, you disassociated, and you inactive will agree, you heard about all these things from the Jehovah's Witnesses. You didn't hear about these prophecies from the Catholics, the Protestants, the Jews, the Muslims, the Pentecostals, Lutherans, Methodists. You didn't hear these things from them. You heard them from the Jehovah's Witnesses. We've been preaching these things for over 100 years. You see, that's what makes us prophets. What? No, not individual prophets. We are collectively a prophet. Why are we collectively a prophet? Because we repeat prophecy. Not because we come up with new prophecies. All the prophecies are located in the Bible. There are no other prophecies. They're already there. Now, many of the apostates and the DF'd and the disassociated claim that Jehovah's Witnesses have prophesied wrong dates. No. Getting the dates wrong is not the prophecy. And in the past, some of my brothers have jumped the gun a little bit. They didn't read Acts 1:7, 6 and 7, and Matthew 24:36. They didn't read that, those scriptures. But of course, today we came into that understanding. We no longer predict a date or suggest a date, any date. But we do have these signs that are from our Master, Jesus Christ. He's the master, we're the slaves. So we repeat his prophecies, and that makes us collectively a prophet. All Jehovah's Witnesses enrolled into one because we repeat prophecy. Now, what I did here today is I've side by side the King James Version and the New World Translation. And I want to go through these prophecies here one by one. And the first prophecy we have here, now this is not the first only prophecies. No, there's lots of other prophecies, but these are the prophecies that Jesus gave us after he came off the Mount of Olives and his couple of disciples there, apostles, asked him what would be the conclusion of the system of things, the signs. And here Jesus gave us some. Now, first of all, from the New World Translation. For nation, Matthew 24:7 and 8. Please turn with me there in your Bibles. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be food shortages and earthquakes in one place after another. All these things are a beginning of pangs of distress. Now we're going to take it from the King James Version. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Which one do you prefer? How many times do you use diverse places? Yeah. New World Translation has all these scriptures. Modern English. Now let's check what it says there in Mark 13:8. New World Translation. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in one place after another. There will also be food shortages. These are a beginning of pangs of distress. Mark 13:8, King James Version. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. Which one works better for you? Oh, I know you diehards are going to say the King James Version, but that's poppycock. King James Version was written for a plowboy back in the 17th century. We no longer even speak that type of English. How about Luke 21:10 and 11? New World Translation. Oops, I typed it wrong. I got NWI. I should have NWT. Luke 21:10 and 11, New World Translation. Then he said to them, nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and in one place after another, food shortages and pestilences, and there will be fearful sights, and from heaven great signs. Luke 21:10 through 11, King James Version. Then he said unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven. We do not talk that way anymore. So again, the New World Translation is the better translation. Now let's just stop right there for a minute before we jump into Revelation, because these are prophecies that are being fulfilled right today. Today. Coronavirus. Pandemic. They just ruled it a pandemic. Yeah. Pestilences, sickness, disease, germs, insects can all be pestilence. They all fall under that category. I don't have to tell you about famines, because 2/3 of the world goes to bed hungry. 29,000 children are going to die today because they don't have enough food to eat. Malnutrition diseases, food shortages. I don't have to tell you about nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, because you know that already. Although many do not understand why he repeats, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. A nation can be racial within a country. Blacks against the whites. Whites against the blacks. Nation. But kingdom is government against government. See, that's the difference in the use there. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. So it's not a repeat of the same thing. Jesus knew a lot, didn't he? Are we not suffering from racial prejudices in the world today? You betcha. Governments against governments. And it's not just in warfare. Everybody's trying to blame everybody else now for this coronavirus. Covid-19. And yet Jesus, 2,000 years ago, 1,987 years ago, said that there would be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes. Well, I don't have to tell you about the earthquakes. You already know about all them, and the hurricanes, and volcanoes, tornadoes. typhoons, cyclones. But here you have three different accounts from three different Gospels, and two of these Gospels never heard Jesus say these words. Two of these Gospel writers, Mark and Luke. They weren't there. Only Matthew was there when Jesus said these things. But you notice here in Luke, his account says great earthquakes. He doesn't just say earthquakes. He adds a little bit. That's why it's so important to read all four Gospel accounts, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, so we get a complete picture. Because one of them might add details that the others forgot, or that the others didn't put in their accounts. And it's not, now many apostates will claim, oh, that's contradiction. No, it's not. They're just adding certain details. And you'll see that throughout the Gospels, throughout the four Gospels. But these 6 verses that I've quoted, actually only 3, but 3 from New World Translation and 3 from the King James Version, are prophecies that are being fulfilled today. Today. Now, let's jump here into Revelation. Revelation 6, 3, and 4. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, come. Another came out, a fiery colored horse, and it was granted to the one seated on it to take peace away from the earth, so that they should slaughter one another, and he was given a great sword. New World Translation. King James Version 6, Revelation 3 through 4. And when he opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him, and that sat thereon to take peace away from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Revelation 6, 5, and 6. New World Translation. When he opened the third seal, I heard the third living creature say, come, and I saw and look a black horse, and the one seated on it had a pair of scales in his hands. I heard what sounded like a voice in the midst of her say, 4 living creatures say, a quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. And do not harm the olive oil and the wine. New World Translation. Now the King James Version. Revelation 6, 5, and 6. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou not hurt the oil and the wine. See, that's 17th century English. That's a dead language. Thee, thy, thou. And a denarius is not a penny. So it's an improper transliteration there. But these are prophecies. And this is why I did this today between the two, for 2 reasons. One is because Jehovah's Witnesses, and all you apostates know this, all you disfellowship know this, all you inactive know this, and all of you know this that have associated with Jehovah's Witnesses for any length of time and studied with them. We've been telling people these prophecies for 100 years and been explaining them. And they're right out there. Now you see, here's the thing. We have always had wars, racial prejudices. We've always had famines, pestilences, and earthquakes, haven't we? We've always had those things. But we've never had them all at once. Did the light bulb go off in the old noggin there? Yeah, we've never had all these things at once. Be food shortages and earthquakes in one place after another. All these things. All these things. When you see these things occur, know that He is near. All these things are occurring at the same time today. Isn't that interesting? See, you're not going to hear that anywhere else. You're not going to hear that from the Catholics, the Protestants, the Methodists, Islam. You're not going to hear that. You're only going to hear it from the Jehovah's Witnesses. This is the message that we take from door to door. Now, this is a message of gloom and doom. But there is the message of hope that we also provide. If you adhere and obey Jesus Christ today, you can live forever. And you can get through all these things because Jehovah can protect us from these things. If we obey His Son. It really is that easy. Just obey. Ecclesiastes 12:13, that's what it says. The obligation of mankind is what? What is the total obligation of mankind? Why are we here? We are here to obey the commands, to fear not obeying the commands of Jehovah God. That's our whole obligation, to obey Jehovah God. Out of fear, but not the kind of fear of the boogeyman or the monster, but the reverential fear, the fear of displeasing our Father. So you see, all these prophecies are for you and me. It's right there. 2 Timothy 3:1-5. Critical times, hard to deal with, will be here in the last days. Critical times will be here in the last days. What do you think today is like? My goodness, the stock market drops, 2,000 points? They're shutting countries down. You can't travel in and out. Pandemic. Of course, I don't think that the coronavirus is any more problematic than the flu, but then who am I? I mean, we've already had, by some reports, 20,000 people in the United States alone have died from influenza, and yet they're talking about the 30 or 40 that have died from coronavirus, projecting that coronavirus will get worse, and that it will be like the Spanish influenza of the 1920s, in which 50 million people died. But if you go look up 2 Timothy 3:1-5, you'll see the attitudes of the people. Lovers of themselves, lovers of money, lovers of pleasures rather than lovers of God, having a form of godly devotion but proving false to its power. Those are the ones that go to church every Sunday, confess their sins, and then go out Monday through Saturday and do the same thing. Every week after week after week. So this is the message that the Jehovah's Witnesses have been bringing to the door for over 100 years. And all of you were part of it, but then you walked away. You walked away from it. Why did you walk away from it? Most likely because of man. Certainly not because of Jehovah God. You walked away from it because you didn't like what the brothers did to you, or you didn't like the cliques in the kingdom halls, or you didn't like what some sister said about you. And maybe they got it wrong, but you didn't go about it right. You didn't trust in Jehovah, and now look at you. You're on the outside looking in. Think about it. Look at the news. Turn on the TV. Read a newspaper. And see for yourself that these things are happening as I speak. But remember what it says here in Matthew 24:8. And in Mark 13:8. These are the beginnings of sorrows in the King James Version. These are the beginning of pangs of distress. All these things are the beginning of the pangs of distress. So you see, there's going to be more coming. So sit back on your couches, eat your snacks, watch your TVs. Don't get out for Jehovah and tell others, warn others about these prophecies here that are coming true as we speak, as we think about it. Just sit at home on your duffs. Don't try to come back, you disfellowship. Don't try to come back, you disassociated. Oh no, you already made your decisions, huh? Because it wasn't speeding up as you thought it should. Oh, the sun comes up, the sun goes down. This is the attitude that all of you had. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. Just another day. Where's this presence? That was also a prophecy. See, Jehovah knew you were going to take that attitude. 300,000 people a year come to Jehovah. 300,000. Over that. In fact, last year was more people baptized and dedicated and baptized to Jehovah God over the last 20 years. And what are you doing? You're sitting at home on your couches. When Jesus returns, and he's going to return, and all of you know he's going to return, because he said he was. When he returns, what are you going to say? I was sitting at home eating popcorn. I didn't think you were going to come. I was watching TV. I was doing this, I was doing that. I was working, I was supporting my family. I didn't know you was going to come, Lord. You think that's going to work? No, because see, he said right here, these are he gave us the signs here to look for. Are these signs not occurring today? Am I lying here? Maybe I am. But I'm only lying to the idiots. Yeah, they're the ones that claim I'm lying because they're just stuck on stupid. And I can't fix stupid. But hey, you know what? Thanks for listening to this video. And have a nice day. Because they're numbered.